Coming up on this episode of the Marty Mariner Show, yes, it's the first of two grand final episodes. Just so many people I wanted to talk to about this brilliant season that the Central Coast Mariners have had. And of course, it's not over yet. The grand final this Saturday, June 3rd at Combank Stadium in Parramatta. Can't wait to see you there, Central Coast. Hope you have your tickets sorted already. If not, I'd be getting onto that pretty quick. Don't forget to, just before I let you know about the guests, kindly invite you to subscribe to the channel. Little button in the bottom corner there just helps us spread the word about our Central Coast Mariners side. Plenty of interviews there for you to check out. So thank you if you already have. Thank you in advance if you're about to. Guest list for tonight, well, we're starting at the top. Can't get much bigger than this. The head honcho, the gaffer of the Central Coast Mariners side, Nick Montgomery, joins us for a bit of a chat. Harry Steele joins me to let me know how the boys are feeling. Probably the biggest game of their careers for a lot of these young fellas. So looking forward to catching up with Harry. He's a real favourite here on the Marty Mariner Show. And I've said for a million years that the Central Coast Mariners staff are the best in the A-League, if not the world. And we have three staff members, both past and present, who are here to have a bit of a chat with us about not only their roles and what they've been doing, but also how much they're looking forward to the grand final. Gabby Bowles, Carly Carmichael and Rach Hart join us. Looking forward to chatting with those guys as well. It's an absolutely bumper show. The green room is absolutely chockers, so we better get this thing started. It's grand final week. It's the Marty Mariner Show. And welcome back to the Marty Mariner Show Grand Final Special. God, I'm going to say that a lot over this week, aren't I? Can't wait. It's just the best words ever. And, well, to kick off our interviews, well, we start at the top, right? So let's start with three of the most fanatical Mariners fans that I know. And we had to get them all in the same room together, doing our whole Brady Bunch promo kind of thing. The first of our guests, she's no stranger to the Marty Mariner Show. She's the siren of the sauce bottles. She's the princess of the palms. And she's also been known to dress up as a pirate once or twice out there on the field. Carly Carmichael, how the hell are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very, very good. Have you come down from Saturday night yet?
No, it still feels like a dream, and I'm still trying to manage. My son is very excited, and the next 2 weeks are probably going to be the hardest of my life parenting-wise. But no, it's I'm still pinching myself. It's been amazing.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll speak about that during this next half an hour or so. If I forget, just happen to remind me. I'm sure we'll bring it up. Our second guest, making her Marty Mariner Show debut. She is an absolute Mariners tragic. She's gone from driving around the Central Coast, giving out movie tickets and probably the odd can of warm Coke. She's gone from behind the microphone on the radio, and now she's an absolute podcast guru, working out there at Nova. This is like Gordon Ramsay watching me cook a roast. It's like I've got sweaty palms going on here and everything. Rach Hart, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm great. Thanks for having me. This is so exciting.
Well, more exciting for me too, and absolutely nerve-wracking. But no, that's all cool. It's all cool. We're all friends, And last but definitely not least, also making her Marty Mariner Show debut. Well, I've said for many, many years, and everyone knows it, I say our staff are the best in the league, nay, the world. And this lady, seeing her at halftime in the game on Saturday, I think if nervous energy could have been bottled, we'd have run the Central Coast the next 10 years. She's an absolute legend and a superstar. Gabby Bowles, how are you doing?
Just still getting through it all. There's still a lot going on, so it probably hasn't sunk in properly yet. But I'm doing well.
Yeah, you're doing a fantastic job, mate. And I'm sure we'll go back to how the beginning of this week was when tickets sort of went on sale. We'll kind of cover that and see, because you guys just did the best job. Poor Dan. I think he's on to his second case of beer from what I heard lately. But anyway, we'll discuss that a little bit later. Rach, let's just start with you. Your passion for football. How did that all start? We know you're a massive Liverpool fan as well, which we won't hold against you. But where did your passion come from?
I was lucky enough to be born into a sporting family. Like my brother played football from a really young age. My dad was born in Liverpool, so he's an English boy. So it's kind of in the blood from him. And I think I just got brainwashed at such a young age. And then obviously when the Mariners were a thing, it was the first national team that the Central Coast has ever had. And we were on such an amazing platform. So it was just a no-brainer for me to get behind the local team. And it was, I loved it. I still love it.
Still get that feeling from it. And of course, I should have mentioned this up for the past, I think you've been in and out working for the Mariners. God, I'm gone already. We're the last decade or so, would that be right? It was around grand final time. When was that from?
Yeah, I think 2016 was the main year, but I was on and off throughout that emceeing game day MC and ground announcer and emceeing like kit launches. Highlight was when Louis Garcia signed on, obviously being a Liverpool tragic. Shout out to Carly, Tyson Scott, and also Sean Millicamp, who decided to pack me up and chuck me in the car and to Sydney Airport to greet him. It was one of the best days of my life.
Would have been like a reenactment of the Beatles arriving at the airport.
Yeah.
Pretty close to it. Carl, let's move to you now. From stepping away and not doing as much, all I seem to see you doing is more and more and more at the ground. Tell us a bit more about, because you've been in the room there where they control the scoreboards, and that's got to be a pretty hectic place, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of fell into the sports presentation side of things sort of just after Mariners won the last grand final, where, you know, we sort of were tight on resources. So they had to kind of go, here you go. Here's what a run sheet looks like. Here's what a script looks like. Learn how to do it. So thankfully, along the way, I've met some amazing people who've sort of taught me the ins and outs of it all. And so, yeah, I'm still able to sort of be a part of it on match day, working with the big screen operation. So Kai Dan, who do all of that. Kylie has been amazing in showing me how to use all of these fancy buttons that I have no idea. Sometimes even still I look at them and I go, oh, I don't want to be the person that presses the wrong one and it just turns off the screen or something. But we all know I thrive under pressure, so that's okay. And then obviously a lot of bit of show calling as well, which thanks to JC Entertainment, they've been able to sort of get me in to do a little bit when, you know, they've got they don't have the staff at the time. And then recently this year they've thrown me into a few MC gigs, which I think if I was to think 5 years ago that I'd be on the field talking to, 8,000 people, I never would have believed it, because we all know that I could barely talk in staff meetings, let alone to that many people. But I think it's one of those things that it's kind of opened up a bit of a new passion of mine, and I really love it. And it's still a way to be involved. And I just absolutely love it. And it's one of those crazy things is that inside that little box, it looks like everyone's having an absolute blast and we're all laughing. But sometimes it does get very stressful in there.
It's the old duck on top of the water, right? Looks like it's gliding with the feeler concrete. Yeah, okay. That sounds like me at work at the moment too. And speaking of probably people paddling like crazy, Gab, now you just had a bit of a shift with your role at the Mariners too. Tell us a bit about what's been happening there.
Yeah, it's nothing like sport. When you think you're headed in one direction, then something comes out of left field and all of a sudden you're in a very different one. We had a bit of a restructure sprung on us, which came into effect from the 1st of May, which is an interesting time to implement it, but that's seen me move into a new role. So I've moved out of commercial and into a role heading up. It's a new department that'll focus on philanthropic fundraising for our academy, which is a not-for-profit. So trying to get more funds in there to make sure we can keep that development pathway moving and open up opportunities to talented athletes that may not have the capacity, to afford it. Football is unfortunately a very expensive sport to be part of, and the better the facilities, the better the coaches, the S&C and all the technology in and around it. Those costs keep moving upwards. We want to make sure that doesn't cut out, the best of the best. If we've got talented youth coming through, money shouldn't be something that stops them on their development pathway. So I have a big focus on that. I'll take responsibility for grant writing for the club and also managing our community department, which is the one I'm probably most excited about because, community club is what we are. And during the lean years, it gets hard to do more, that there's still costs associated with being able to get out there and do things and run programs. But yeah, we're lucky now. We've got some guaranteed funding for the next 3 years and some awesome partners that have come on board over the last few years. So excited at what we can do there.
Absolutely exciting times. Rach, when people talk to you about when you support the Mariners and they say, oh, what is it about the Mariners? Because we're not like the Sydney FC, the Western Sydney, we're different. How do you describe the Central Coast Mariners to people?
It's a tough one because I don't think people understand it unless you're from here. But it's kind of like, I feel like the vibe at the Mariners and the way to describe it to people goes hand in hand with like that Aussie battler. We're always punching up. We're always going above and beyond our weight. We're the little guys. We're the underdogs. We're the ones that people don't expect big things from. We don't have the same money as some of those big clubs. And I think one thing that the team and the staff are constantly showing is that we are a community club. Like, they get involved. It's one of the clubs that you can literally, I was at Copacabana, a cafe on the weekend, and Danny Vukovic and his family walked in. Like, it's one of those ones where the players are really ingrained in the community. And as fans, it's something that you never experience with any other team. Like, there's no way in Liverpool I would walk down the street and see like Mo Salah in a cafe. Like, it just wouldn't happen. Yeah. And it's something that I feel like as a fan of the Mariners, it's so special and it's so unique to the coast. And that's the only way that I can put it.
Yeah. And Carly, you've been obviously around the club long enough. In your words, what is it? Because, I mean, we are always talking about being the community club. We've probably got a slightly older demographic, even with our crowds and our people that come in. But then we see these young kids everywhere that just, like Saturday night, which we'll talk about in more detail, was just crazy. It was like kids that, I mean, it was just fantastic. But what do you say to people when they talk? We're more than a community club, but it's always been the heart of what we are, right?
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, Rach probably put it perfectly. If you're not in it, you don't get it. Like, the amount of people I've tried to explain why I love it so much, they're like, okay, but it's sport. I'm like, yeah, but it's so much more than that. Like, I look back at the amount of friends and, people who I consider my family now, and people who've helped me along the way in the ways of actual business and networking with these new people, and just really being able to, expand those networks, and they kind of become a whole new family for you. And I think that's probably one of those things that, unless you're in it, you don't understand it. But once you're in it, it's the best thing ever. And so I think we've just got to keep drawing people in and just planting them. But I think you're saying before, this is that kind of time where all of those people who were sort of the 18, 19-year-olds in Bay 16, sort of in those first couple of seasons, they've gone away, they've had families. They're the ones that I'm seeing now bringing back their kids, and the kids are the ones getting into it, yelling at the referee and all the other things, and they're getting into it and they're loving it. So it's so good to actually be able to see the fans, I guess, that life cycle, like bringing the next generation through, and it's just going to get better from here.
Absolutely. And Gab, I mean, obviously all of us have seen the darker times. I'll be honest, I think it was about the 20th minute. I switched off from the game and I just looked at 20,000 people in that stadium, and I'm a sook. I had a tear, and I'm like, I remember the 1,500 and the 2,000 crowds, and I remember just, you could have a bay to yourself, and I just saw so many people there. I saw older people, younger people. I saw the young ones we're talking about in Bay 16 with that, what's that thing called? Energy, jumping up and down and doing their thing. I'm seeing families bringing in kids, and I just looked, and I probably lost about a minute or two of the game. We harness that, I think, really, really well as a club. But what is it that we can do from Saturday night that goes, come back again? Because I know that's what, if we could bottle it, we'd kill it, right?
Look, I think it's collaboration, right? Like, Rach, Carly and I, Marty, you've been there a long time too. I think our passion, it stems in the first instance from a passion for the sport, which not everybody does. It doesn't have the same cut through here yet, that it does in other parts of the world. So for us, it's not a hard sell, right? Like it's our only nationally competing team and we're a small region. So helping others understand that whether you're a fan of football or not, being a fan of the Mariners and being involved in that family, like Carly spoke about, that Mariners family and having that sense of pride, helps you feel part of a greater collective, and when we're doing well, that's something positive. That's easy to get people on board with. Right. I think the biggest message is for everyone that is passionate about it, everyone who does understand what it's about, when you're seeing these new people around the grounds that are enjoying the moments, encourage them to get on board. Absolutely. Encourage them to become a member. And I mean, we're looking at different ways now of restructuring the membership so that, rather than tying that to a season ticket like it has been in the past, people can buy a membership so they're still connected. They can still access benefits no matter where they live in the country. It doesn't matter where you go. You hear of people that they're not from the coast. Oh, yeah, but my family used to holiday there every summer. Or, my auntie or uncle lived there. Like there's a connection because it is such a beautiful place. And even though people go further afield, that doesn't mean you can't get involved. It doesn't mean you can't back the home side. And, we're looking at ways that we can make that accessible. And then for those that are at home, they can then, choose to opt in for their season ticket and be rewarded with that because they're already a member. Yeah. But just encourage people to kick the tin, right? Like there's a lot of talk about it in here this week. It is the cheapest annual entertainment. Like where are you going to get 90 minutes worth of entertainment? Absolutely. Our memberships are cheapest in the league, and yet I would argue you're probably going to get the best value. Absolutely. We've got homegrown heroes that are in these sides. If any little kid walking around the coast that gets to see a Harrison Steele or a Jacob Farrell, even the players that have moved on and gone to other clubs, Lockie Wales, Mickey Glassick, you can't underestimate what that means. That gives people hope and it encourages them and they can put themselves in those shoes and go, you know what? I might be from the coast, that little region wedged in between Sydney and Newcastle. Yep. Stuff that I can do anything. I think that just, it really people, if you're going to buy in, don't be a fair weather fan. You'll be able to be a member for a couple of bucks a month. And honestly, the value you get out of it, you become part of something really special.
Absolutely. I think we can all vouch for that, and the memories that you'll get that come along with it are free as well. And always don't forget to like, share and subscribe to your favorite podcast and YouTube channels. We'll just throw them out there too. Rach, let's get back onto the football field. We come away from Adelaide. We've got a goal up. Were you sitting comfortable during the week going, we've got this now? Or were you, like me, an absolute nervous wreck?
I usually am a nervous wreck, but for some reason I had a gut feeling this time, and I still do ahead of the grand final. I don't know if this is a bad thing to say or not, but I'm so confident it's not funny. The belief that team is showing right now is absolutely ridiculous, and the consistency that they are showing is ridiculous. I even called, not to brag, but I even called 2-0 at our second. I was like, yeah, Adelaide won't score, no worries. Didn't put any money on it, of course, typical. But yeah, I just was sitting pretty, was so happy. And also just so happy that we were getting a home semi-final. We knew it was going to be a big crowd. We knew that the night was going to be amazing. I was buzzing all week with excitement for it. Absolutely.
And people were talking about it, like as you mentioned before about where you were going, but walking through shopping centres and all of a sudden, you've got the kids in the Mariners gear and you can hear the conversation. Are you going? You see it on the socials. Are you going? Oh, where do I get tickets from? There was just the biggest buzz. And as Gabby said before, if we can encourage those to get just that extra step and become members and be part of it, they definitely won't be sorry. Carly, I know we mentioned a couple of times during the season about the young blokes in the team that were emerging through and the backbone. I know I certainly didn't. Did you expect them to kick on and play the part that they have to get us to this point?
Yeah, I just think it all comes down to the culture. And I think Monty has done an absolutely amazing job in just filling them with not only, I guess, the skills needed on the football field, but also that confidence and the don't want to say the brotherhood, but I guess like that whole bonding and how you see them all on the field is that they are so respectful of each other. They, they're gelling, and it just is so beautiful to watch. And I think also the fact that some of the younger boys, when you're younger, you've got a lot more confidence and you're not scared to go in for things. And I remember watching Jacob Farrell sometimes, and I go, because, he's quite a thin guy, and I just go, oh my God, he's going to get absolutely snapped in half by someone. And then he goes in and absolutely bosses it and then still gets the ball and runs away with it. And I just go, how did that happen? But at the same time, I go, yeah, no, that's just what they do. Like, that's just it. And again, that also comes down with the entertainment factor as well, is that you've got all these huge names playing for all the other clubs, but our young boys, they're our huge names. They're the ones, I think, like Gab mentioned, they're the young locals that, I know that at the end of Harry Steele is one of my son's favorite players. And it's just because he knows that he's younger and he went to the Mariners Academy and that's what he wants to do when he's older. So he's actually seen the progress through the academy, and he goes, that's where I want to head. That's my pathway. And I think, the more we can keep that academy up and, pumping out those amazing players that feed into the club, it's doing the job that it needs to do. And it's really bloody entertaining as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the two biggest cheers, apart from goals going in skill-wise, was when Tulio did that little flick over the top and run. The crowd was like, And then when Nizzy did that tackle near the end of the game where he kind of, I don't know how he did it, but he ended up with the ball, and the crowd as one was just like, it was just these individual, and it's just two ends of the spectrum. You got an international guy coming up doing all the flicks, which are fantastic. And then you got Nizzy, who's, just going to dive in, do what he does and come away with the ball. And there was no smile on the face. It's like, yeah, I got this. And off we go. It just, it's exactly what the whole team seems to rotate on, just that spirit of doing it. Gab, can you give us a bit of an idea what it was like in the office in the lead up to that big game on Saturday night? There must have been a buzz, but was everyone, was it sweaty palms and this is going to be big? How was it feeling for you guys?
Look, it's a weird one because we don't have the same control over the finals series that we do with a home game. Where with a home game, we pull out all the stops, everyone's doing the late nights, because you're essentially running the show and you can control most of the elements. Yeah. There was a lot about this that we couldn't control, and yet the phones are going off, the emails are flooding in with people expecting us to have the answers. So I guess in some ways, the team was sort of working overtime, but with more constraints. Because we then had to feed everything back through APL, and there were decisions we couldn't make that we normally can. But look, I think the vibe was, we actually had a sweepstakes. So the chairman, Rach, had us all pick what we thought the score would be, and everyone had to guess how close we were going to get. And it was interesting. Everyone was pretty optimistic with their predictions, to be fair. No one guessed a full house, but I think we're all very happy to be wrong with that. I think we probably knew early Friday morning this is going to go. This is going to be a sellout. And look, can't underestimate the support that we've had, and like some of the partnerships we've had this year. In particular, it's worth shouting out to Star 104.5. Like, they've come on board this year, and the support that they have given us, the buy-in that we've got from their team and the stuff they've done has just amplified what everyone at the club's been working so hard on for years. And look, I think that's when it makes a difference, right? When we're working together, you're no longer one hand clapping. Exactly. That coupled with, what Carly was talking about and the work that Monty's done, not just technically, but with the players from a mindset perspective. Yeah. We've seen teams in, our own teams in years gone by where you have individuals, and we've seen the results that failed to deliver. A team full of the tennis players will shoot me, but I do call it a team full of tennis players because they're used to focusing on themselves. In their sport, that works. In our sport, that doesn't work. We very much need to be galvanized, and the teams managed to do that. Our communities managed to do that. And it was just a good vibe in the office. I think, like Rach, there was just a lot of quietly confident. It was superstitious, so nobody wants to say it out loud, but it was quietly confident. So it was just make the most of it.
No, that's absolutely. And just saying with you too, Gab, that the sponsors, just we're touching on the whole, community and that, but even the club sponsors are just so involved in what goes on. They say hi, they talk. It's not like, here's our money, see you later, or we know the names of the people behind the sponsors. We know the Michael Dobies of the world, and we all know where we're going to go to get our shirts framed. We all know that, so we're going to be going out to the guys out there. We just know because they're just so involved in it, and it must give you guys a buzz just to get that buy-in from them, right? Because generally we say, sponsorship, pay the money, whatever, very corporate, but these guys are just part of the club.
Yeah, it shifts the dial. I was reading an interesting article a little while ago, and it was talking about how people now choose to put their money in, sort of post-pandemic. They're more choosy about what they put their money in, and it's not so much about where am I going to get the cheapest price. People are actually happy to pay for where they feel they get the greatest value, and they're not always the same things. And so I think the value sponsors feel like they get out of Mariners and the Mariners community, which is bigger than just the club, that's something they want to be part of, right? That's a really positive thing to associate your brand with, giving youth opportunities and having every reason why we shouldn't be successful, being a small regional club, and yet bloody well go and do it anyway. It's that persistence. I think, who wouldn't want to align themselves with something like that? It's warm and fuzzy.
Absolutely. Lots of love on the Central Coast. Come and be a part of it. Rach, give us some tips. Now, we've got a bit of time now until the grand final. Okay, so we've essentially got a week and a half now, 2 weeks from as time of recording. Can you give us some tips on how we're going to get through this next couple of weeks? Because for me, I can't look that far ahead, and I'm already I wish it was tomorrow, and I'm going to get to this weekend and go, another week. Help us out. What's some Rach tips to get through the next week or so?
My main tip is stop looking forward and start looking backwards, because I've already watched the grand final from 2013 on replay about 3 times. So
right. Nice.
That's where I think we need to go. Start looking at all the highlights and get excited about it. Rewatch the matches, rewatch the finals, rewatch every match from this season.
Yep.
Just soak it all in.
Yeah, take it all in. And let's just stay with the last grand final a decade ago, which makes us all feel that little bit older. But what were your memories from that day? I mean, obviously it was a great day. What memories do you hang on to from that day?
The main one isn't the best memory, because I was so annoyed with myself. I got up from my seat. I was there with my mum. I got up from my seat not long before half time, went to the bathroom just as Patrick Sveinsvik scored and missed it. All I heard was the cheering, and I had no idea for about 5 minutes whether it was us or whether it was Western Sydney. And I came back and my mum was in floods of tears because we'd scored.
Nice.
So that's the main memory, unfortunately. The other one was, I just remember walking into the ground and even out of the ground and just feeling completely swallowed whole by the Western Sydney fans, because it really was about 80-20 percentage in that stadium. And that just kind of comes back to my point earlier of we're the small but the mighty club, and I genuinely think we only had 4 bays in that entire stadium. There were 3 behind the goal, and then one of players' families and friends, I think, and we managed to do it. We managed to topple them. It was just the best.
Absolutely. And Carly, your memories of that day, or were the celebrations too big, you don't have too many?
No. No, it was one of those days where I remember it, but I also don't, because it was so huge. I mean, I think that was the first year that I'd spent a full season at the club. So I sort of came in towards the end of the 2011-12 season. So it was my first full season, and I just remember pinching myself going, how this is an absolute dream. But just the whole, there was so many buses organised, and I remember everyone meeting at leagues clubs, and everyone had toilet seats that were spray painted yellow and
tin foil around them. I remember those.
And Eggie's there with his cape and shirtless, yelling at everyone, having an absolute time of his life. And then Rach, you go into the stadium and suddenly it's oh shit, there's a lot of fans here. But and then it was one of those really anxious times where I think in the back of my head, I was like, don't think about Brisbane, don't think about Brisbane, don't think about Brisbane. And then
what are you talking about?
when it went off and, all the confetti cannons are going off and it's like, we've won. It was like, oh my God, we won. Like, and then, but then again, like, I think that was the year where the boys pretty much jumped on a plane and went straight over to Asia and did their thing. And we went pretty much, as soon as that was done, we went into planning, grand final, memorabilia and shirts and organising parades. And so it wasn't until, I guess, a few weeks after that you kind of got to digest it and go, oh yeah, that happened.
It absolutely did. And Gabs, your memory too. I mean, it was the game, but it was also just that next week. It was Kibble Park. It was, just people just everywhere. It was just, I try and explain to people that it wasn't just the game. It was a whole period of time. Is that how you remember it yourself?
Yeah, look, it was really different for me because I wasn't working at the club then. So I went to the game as a fan. My dad managed to score an invite for a +1 to the chairman's function at the match. So it was like,
oh, here we go.
Yeah, cool, that's all right. So I'm having my little fangirl moment meeting, former Socceroos and stuff like that. And then it sort of got to halftime and I was like, yeah, can we get down to active support? Because it's they're my people. Like, this is cool. This is nice. But can we go down with my people? I need a beer shower. Let's get down there.
McKenna's got his shirt off. I need to be there.
Oh, look. My old man, like, he's lost a bit of weight. He was an absolute unit back then. And I remember as we're heading in through our gate and we had to go through a sea of Wanderers supporters. And everyone talked about how intimidating it was. And I had a blazer on over my Mariners jersey and he just had the scarf on. He was all suited up and he said, just be quiet. We'll work our way to the front and we'll get upstairs. So we got right in the middle of it. And I saw Mariners fans shooting up the far side, just a couple of them. I couldn't help myself. And I screamed out, who do we sing for? And my dad, I've never seen like this huge dude go so white because he knew if stuff started to happen, he was going to be called in to protect me and we were well and truly surrounded. But credit to the Wanderers fans, right? Their banter back, they absolutely served me, but the banter back was good and the energy was just what it can be at a football match. And yeah, the parade afterwards, I was on the committee for GBID, which looked after or supported the events in Gosford at the time. And so we were sort of helping run crowd control up and down the main street. And that was like, that was just a vibe. Like, that was something that was seriously special. And yeah, like how much work would have gone into that. That's the biggest thing. Now being at the club, you realize, like, the people that are working in it at the time don't always get to absorb it the same way because there's still a job to be done to make sure everyone around you's having the best experience they can. So yeah, it's probably the come down off the back of it is going to be interesting, but we're just focused on the job at hand at the moment.
I think just on the parade, Gab, I remember when we went to planning it, I was working with someone with council and we'd never done anything like this before. We're going, right, what do? We need to know how many bins there are going to be, how much security. And so they were like, okay, how many numbers do you think? And we're like, okay, well, it's going to be in the middle of the day. It's not school holidays, like 1,000, 2,000. Cool, no worries. So we did all of the plans on that. And then I just remember I had to be at the start of the parade, making sure the players got on the bus, they had the trophy and it was in safe hands and whatever. And then we had a promo car that needed to be back in Kibble Park. So I thought, right, I'll let the bus go and I'll jump in the car, go all through the back way and meet them there. And I remember driving around the corner and seeing Kibble Park and the amount of people. And I wish I had a spare pair of pants that day because I had that moment where I went, oh, shit, a lot more than 2,000 people. And then, but it was such a vibe. Like, it was so good. I think watching back on those videos, but I think it's Mikey McGlinchey with those bright yellow sunglasses. And he's like on someone's like shoulders and it's just unreal. And yeah, sorry to sidetrack you.
No, but that's the weird thing about it, right? Because often, like, when you're working in it, you're being asked to predict the unpredictable, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
When people get a wave of emotion or enthusiasm or like it builds and it happens really, really quickly. Like, everyone wants to be part of that. It's a really positive, magnetic sort of energy, and it is hard to predict, right? We've got people asking us already, what's happening pre-match, what's happening post-match, what's happening the day after. And we're a bit like, oh, yep, that's a thing. But you're trying to predict it, not knowing the outcome, even though you're feeling really positive about it. Like you've almost got a plan for different scenarios, and you're guessing on numbers. It's bloody nightmare, but it's a nightmare I'm happy to have.
So what are we doing, Gab? What's all the details? No, I'm only joking. So
to be fair, we did do a recce down to Combank today, and we've sussed out a couple of fine establishments in Parramatta. So
Beautiful.
Watch this space.
Watch this space. Hold that thought, she says. Okay, so let's get to the game in hand. Melbourne City finished first in the comp. I think personally the top two teams have got to the grand final. The discussion of where it's being held is for a totally other day, but it is what it is. Rach, give me a score and give me a couple of goal scorers. Should there be some? I know. We end
Way to make it hard for me.
End with the easy one.
I think it will be tight. I think it will be 2-1 Mariners.
Oh, nice.
And I think I want to say it just because I want it to happen so badly. I want Nizzy to score in the grand final.
Oh, how good.
I want Nizzy to score in the grand final. And that's it. That's my only goal scoring prediction. If that happens, I'll be in tears.
We have a happy Rach. We're good with that.
Yeah.
Carly, what have you got, Carly?
I'm so bad with these predictions. Like, I'm terrible.
That's great at the same time.
As long as we win, I don't really care. I'm happy. And as long as it doesn't go to penalties. Penalties are the things that break me. And also I hate it when there's a game and it's won by penalties. I feel like it's just not a real winner. And so that's my thing. We can't have penalties. But yeah, Rach, if Nizzy scores, I swear to God, I'm gonna, I don't know, run the pitch and start doing cartwheels, and they'll have to cut me off and find me because I'll be that excited.
I'll pay your fine, mate.
Sean will tackle you. That's his new gig. He tackled the pitch invaders.
I saw that.
Wow.
I might get Andy in as well. I saw he's
Andy
pretty good.
Banal. God.
Yeah, I saw him.
Only way to get a hug off the CEO.
Yeah, hi to Sean if you're watching the show. We all love you. Yeah, and Andy Banal as well. I heard the Roosters are playing the Bulldogs there next weekend, and Andy might be on the bench for them because that was really quite impressive as well. Moving on, Gabby, give me a score.
I'm massively superstitious, so I don't like predicting scores. What I will say, I'm confident we're going to do it convincingly. I think it's going to be entertaining. I think we've got their measure because our boys have fun when they're playing. They're not just good, they have fun. And, that takes nothing away from Melbourne. Like they're a class side.
Absolutely. But
they very much, for me, they play and operate in a different lane, and it doesn't look like it's as much fun. We're coasties. We have fun. We had the boys up here filming for a community program that we're doing. They're doing some stuff today. And I thought, this is going to be a challenge. They probably couldn't think of anything they'd rather do less this week. Yeah. They were brilliant. They were in such good spirits. They were buzzing. They're like, people laugh about the believe thing. It's so true.
Absolutely.
They believe, I believe. I think it's going to be convincing, and I think it is going to be a very long after party.
Here to that. Can't wait to see you guys there. Look, I think for me, it'll be a goal. It'll be a goal in it. I think we'll get up by a goal. And I'm going to tip one of our fan favourites too, Harry Steele. I think he's going to come on and score in the last couple of minutes. I think it'll be just one of those games that will just keep us all on our tenterhooks until like the 95th minute or something. And Harry will come and score probably a 20-yard screamer or so. But we're having him on this week, so we'll ask
Marty, that would be it would be fantastic if that happened, but it would also be hysterical. Harry's parents have just gone on holiday to Italy, and I was ribbing him about it the other day. I'm like, saw your mum's post online, figured they wouldn't stick around. It's not a big deal.
Oh dear.
No, it's a well-deserved holiday, but it was, he was having a laugh with us about it.
Yeah, he's a top bloke, and we'll have him on the next episode, which is really exciting too, especially in the build-up to a grand final. So love Harry coming on the show. Guys, thanks so much for coming on and kicking off our grand final special episodes. Looking forward to seeing you there. Gab, all the best staff-wise, doing all the stuff you do. You're all absolutely brilliant. On behalf of everyone, thank you. We know what a crap time it can be, as well as trying to enjoy it at the same time. So thank you. Rach, thanks for coming on. We look forward to seeing you. And Carly, well, we'll probably see in a pirate suit or something on the ground sometime again next season as well, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the 3rd of June.
Thanks, Marty.
See ya.
Having us.
And welcome back to the MartyMariner show, and the revolving door of guests just keeps on happening over these episodes. But for this fella, we had to roll out the red carpet. Very special guest right now. He'll be pulling on the mighty yellow and blue come grand final day in a number of days' time. Harry Steele, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having me on again. Always a pleasure having you. So, I'm looking forward to it, mate. Bloody boys are buzzing and everyone's feeling good. Everyone's fit. So, we're really looking forward to it. I mean, such a young team. It's a bit of a first for most of us. So, we're all pumped up. We're just ready to go. So, our form's been unreal the last few weeks. So, hopefully we can take that into the grand final.
Well, absolutely, mate. I mean, I've got to ask you the big questions first, because I know you had a big golf day today. Who's the best golfer in the club?
Oh, Sammy Silvera is pretty good. I think he started playing when he was about 3 or 4 years old. So I think he got to the stage when he was like 10 or 11 where he had to actually pick football or golf. So I think he was pretty good. So, but he's a really good player. He doesn't play golf too much anymore, but he's still like, you can just tell with his swing and that he's played a lot of it. So, but he's really good golfer.
Yeah. And look, mate, we won't tell anybody else, but who's the biggest cheat?
It's a hard one. Probably Stormy and Yaron.
Yeah.
Me, Jay, Stormy and Yaron, like we play together, us four a lot. So
yeah,
we normally name Jace for Stormy and Yaron. So we call them cheats, but everyone's pretty fair, which is good.
Of course they are. They're all fair income boys who play at the Central Coast Mariners. No cheats whatsoever. Mate, got to ask you. So prepping now for the grand final. I did get to speak to Monty last night. Said everyone's relaxed. Everyone's in a really good place. How's it feeling for you guys?
Yeah, to be honest, everyone's feeling really good. To be honest, I think Sergio and Monty are the most relaxed they've been all year.
Wow.
Like, I think they're just pumped for everyone, but I think they're just trying to keep the group relaxed as well, which is good. But we've had a good week this week. Had a few tough sessions the last few days. Today was a really good session with a lot of boys back training, and like just a few boys had a couple niggles after the game on the weekend, but everyone was back today, which was good. So everyone's really calm and relaxed, and to be honest, it's like we've all played in a grand final. That's what it feels like. Like there's no nerves. No one's really talking about it too much right now, but we're all just staying focused and just going to focus on the game plan that Sergio and Monty give us and hopefully execute it.
Absolutely. And I mean, we spoke earlier in the season about the young squad and the boys all gelling together, but I don't think we could have written a better script, because everyone just seems to have hit their top right at the end of the season, haven't they?
Yeah. I think everyone's starting to hit their straps. And as I said, we had that period through the middle of the season where we had a couple injuries, suspensions, boys on international break, like all that kind of stuff, which kind of killed us for a few weeks. But now that we've got everyone back fully fit and firing, we're looking really good. And to be honest, I think Marco Tulio has been the best player in the league the last 7 weeks. So if you have him firing and Jace and all the boys up front, we're a pretty hard team to stop.
Absolutely. And I go back also to that the last game in Adelaide, the last game of the round, which got us into that second spot. I mean, I said at that stage that I hadn't seen us play that well this season. I thought we actually put it together really well. And yet we went back and played Adelaide again 2 more times, and just equaled it. It just seemed to be, we just clicked into gear and just went up another level than we've been playing already.
Yeah, definitely, mate. As Monty said, I think we had the most momentum going into those last few games and the semi-final out of every team that was in contention to get in the finals. So that was a big boost for us. And as Monty said to us all, because he's played in some big games, momentum's the biggest bloody push for you. And if you've got momentum going into big games like that, then you're pretty hard to stop.
Yeah.
So we kind of felt not untouchable, but we felt really good. We strung a few really good wins together, and then we all kind of just put it together the last even 3 weeks. We've been really good. I think the last 3 games against Adelaide, we've been outstanding. So hopefully we take that momentum into the grand final. Melbourne City, a big team, going to be tough to beat, but we all believe that we can. So it's all we're thinking about, getting that trophy around our neck, mate.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm imagining too there would have been a great buzz in the sheds, especially the last game in Gosford, which we'll talk about a bit more in a sec. But just in the sheds, you would have known that it was pretty much a sellout crowd going to be out there, even in the warm-up. The crowd's pouring. Yeah. Was it more a case of pumping up for the game, or was it a case of, okay, boys, let's just put a lid on it a little bit?
No, not really, to be honest. Monty kind of said, like, the atmosphere is going to be unreal, but don't get caught up in it. And I think the boys were just like, we're such a young team. So everyone was, when we ran out for warm-up, everyone was just so pumped up seeing that Lee's club side just packed. And then once the game rolled around, the whole stadium was just full and it was bloody rocking. So I think everyone was pretty pumped up. And to be honest, the game we played really well, I thought. Like maybe a few chances, but we were all over them and we had the better chances, that's for sure. So it was outstanding. Being a local boy, seeing the stadium full for a football game, it was really good.
Yeah, I've actually said in other episodes recently too, about the 20th minute, I just sat there and just took my eyes off the game for a bit, just to see, we've all been there in those, where we've had 10% of that crowd. We've had 1,500, 2,000 over the years, and, you've basically got a bay to yourself. But to sit there and just see it full and seeing families and just everyone getting together, I mean, I could feel the energy where I was. I mean, I'm sure even where you were on the other side there, just the energy that place creates is just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so good. Like, I'm sure you've heard it before. I think it's the best stadium in the country.
Absolutely.
With all the Brisbane water and all that behind it. And just when it's full like that, it just, all the sound feels like it's just closed in, and it's really good. Beautiful. It's good stadium to play, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't beat palm trees and sauce bottles, mate. They're very unique to us, and they don't go anywhere else. But and even during the game too, is it hard too? Because obviously, I mean, you're waiting to come on and play, and just that nervous energy that you get. You want to be out there doing it, but whatever's best for the team. And I know you said that a number of times, but you must be just in there. It must be draining just waiting, right?
Oh, it is. I know, especially with a crowd like that on the weekend, 20 fans bloody yelling and shouting and singing and everything. You're just sitting on the sideline going, get me out there, get me out there.
Yeah.
I know. So, but it is what it is. Like, as I said, do what's best for the team. And I think I've done pretty well the last few weeks coming on and helping the boys out. So, and we've been doing well. So I guess you just got to stick to the program, I guess.
Absolutely. And I was saying on Saturday night too, the strength of the bench when the players came on. I thought Thea Harris was great when he came on. Yeah. Yourself, Farrell put Irakunda back in his pocket again. I mean, that was just a classic when Irakunda stands up to go on and Jacob just stands up next to him and says, let's go again, mate. That was just sensational. Dan Hall, it was just, and then Maresh comes on. Everyone just played their part. The strength that we had coming off that bench, it just shows the place that we're in right now, right? Because we haven't had that squad depth for a long, long time.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I think the big thing is, like, everyone's just even if you're not starting or you are starting or you're injured or whatever, everyone just gets around everyone so well, and everyone wants, obviously, us to win, like your own team. And so there's no one with their heads down because they're not playing or this, that, the other. So it's been a really good environment the last 7-8 weeks of the season and those finals games. And as I said, everyone just wants everyone to win. So if you're starting her off, coming off the bench, everyone's putting in 100% for each other.
Yeah, and it shows too, mate. We see in the socials, but you can even see that we saw Danny Vukovic running 50 meters twice during the game to sprint down and celebrate. And the bench emptied. You guys were all up. It's not just like we split. It was just a whole lot just came together. It just means so much to everyone. And as you said, Monty talks about momentum. You must feel that there's that confidence of we can do this on the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. As I said to you, I think we've been playing the best football for the last 8 weeks anyway. So We'll look back and we'll watch obviously their clips over the last few weeks and prepare ourselves. But Monty and Sergio, I think they're the best coaches in the league easily, and they'll have a good game plan for us. So if we can execute the game plan and outfight them, I think we'll get the reward at the end and the toilet seat around it.
Absolutely, mate. And I'll be looking forward to being there at the end of the game to see us running around with it and post game and everything. I'm sure there'll be a couple of beers flowing. Mate, leading up to the grand final, are you someone who, apart from training and all that, obviously, in videos, are you someone who likes to, go play golf, step away from the game as much as you can, or are you someone that's putting on the old, decade of grand finals in the A-League and watching every moment? How do you approach it?
To be honest, I probably will watch back that 2013 grand final.
Yeah.
Was actually there as well, so I've got a pretty funny photo of me actually at the game. So I'm going to send it to Will Makepeace, our media guy, and he'll probably upload it. But
absolutely.
I'll definitely have. We'll definitely have a few games. We have Sunday off training, so we'll have a game of golf probably then, and then maybe Monday, Tuesday we'll get down. But yeah, then we'll just fully focus and get ready, so we're all really fresh and ready to go for the weekend. And I think we're staying down. We have to go to the awards night Thursday night as well. So I think we're down at Sydney then up until the game, and we'll get ready Thursday, Friday, and then we stay there Saturday night as well. So hopefully it'll be a big after party.
Oh, I'm sure there will be, and can't wait to be there as well. We'll be celebrating regardless, mate. It's been a fantastic year. Just be nice to finish it off with that, but we're proud of what everyone's done. Regardless of that. And just game day too, are you someone, I mean, we've had some big games. We had not long ago the FFA Cup final. We've had some massive games of late. That holds us in really good stead. Are you someone yourself, are you a nervous guy before the game, or are you pretty chilled? How do you sort of approach it on game day?
I think the nerves do come in kind of when you come in from warm-up. That's when they kind of hit you, and especially a game like this on the weekend, it's going to hit you pretty hard when you're just thinking about the game plan and trying to make sure you execute it and all that stuff and the crowd and everything. But I'm all right. Like, I just try and get the job done and do my role defensively, and then hopefully the attacking play just comes off. So that's it. I think everyone gets nerves. There's probably only a few people in the world that play sport don't get nerves, but everyone will be ready to go and full of confidence, mate. So hopefully the nerves aren't too bad that everyone just shits the bed, but we'll see what happens.
I'm sure we'll be fine, man. I'm sure we'll be all over that sort of stuff, mate. Look, it's been an absolute pleasure catching up with you so close to the game. I know it's apart from the odd game of golf, you guys are knuckling down to it and getting pumped and ready for the game. Mate, on behalf of everyone, wish you the absolute best for the game. We're proud of what you have done anyway, but I think we'd love to see you guys lifting that trophy at the end of the day. So we wish you all the best.
Legend, Marty. Thanks, mate. Hopefully Saturday will be a bloody big celebration with the trophy at the bloody pub across the road after. So see what happens, but whatever happens, we've had a good season, and I'm sure we'll do our best for the coast and hopefully get that. Mate.
No worries, mate. I'll be the first one to shout you that beer afterwards, my friend.
Good, mate.
All right, man. We'll catch you there on Saturday. All the best.
Beautiful, mate. Good to speak to you.
You too. Catch you soon. And welcome back to the MartyMariner show. And it's an absolute honour and a privilege to have our next guest with us here tonight. A matter of days away from the grand final, Nick Montgomery, head coach of the Central Coast Mariners. Monty, how are you going, mate?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, going very, very well. Mate, just a quick one to start off with. Almost 350 games for the Blades over in Sheffield, over 100 for the Mariners. The coaching side of things, was there a time in your playing career where you thought might get into this coaching caper?
Yeah, I always wanted to be a coach from sort of mid-playing career. I always, enjoyed that side of it. And to be honest, I had some really good coaches and some really bad ones. And I always thought, hopefully one day I'll be a coach and I'll take a lot of the good things I've learned and ignore a lot of the poor things and, ultimately be myself. But, love winning games. I'm competitive, and yeah, that's something that I've always had since I was a kid. I think the best way to scratch that itch is to be a coach and put a team of young footballers or older footballers, whatever it is, out on the pitch and put them into battle. So yeah, it's something that I always wanted to do.
Absolutely. And who are your influences as coaches? Anyone that you're coaching for you, or people that were around at the time?
Oh, there was some when I was real young, playing for Leeds schoolboys and at a youth level. That I always remember. But obviously, professional side of it, Neil Warnock gave me my debut at 17 in the Championship. 7 years under him, amazing times. Promotion to the Premier League, FA Cup semi-finals, League Cup semi-finals, beating the big Premier League teams, Arsenal, Liverpool. I've got some great memories. And yeah, just from then on, Brian Robson, obviously everyone knows who Brian Robson is.
Yep.
Great guy, and obviously Mike Phelan. I've worked with Mike Phelan over here. So yeah, that's some that I could mention. And yeah, some really, really good people and mentors that I still speak to now. So it's nice to to have played under some great coaches that I've definitely learned stuff from, but I'm definitely my own person, and that's, I think, the most important thing to do.
Absolutely. And what about that transition from going from player to coach? Was it as you thought? Was it a harder road than you thought?
That's not easy. You're going from being a player where it's just all about yourself and, being a good professional to all of a sudden, you're the boss, you're the leader, and you've got to, set the culture, set the standards, the behavior and everything else, because ultimately it rests with me.
Yep.
And that's something that I always wanted to do, and started the coaching badges while I was playing.
Yep.
Knowing that, once I transitioned, which is not easy, when you go from playing to not playing and that dressing room's taken away from you, then 4 walls of comfort where you have the banter with the players, and, no matter what happens, you're one of 20, 30, 50 people, in England in an English dressing room.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden, yeah, you're out of the dressing room and you're making decisions that ultimately impact everybody. So yeah, it's definitely not easy, and I see why a lot of players struggle, but I was always focused, and I had good people advising me, and I had good mentors. Most importantly, I had a wife and 3 kids that supported me, and that was the most important thing. And yeah, it's definitely not easy, but because I went into the coaching, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
That definitely made the transition easier.
Yeah. And speaking of transitions, first round of this year, Matty Simon's retirement, belts down of rain, never seen as much water in Gosford. The guy retires, joins the coaching ranks, obviously now the coaching director. We know what Matty Simon brought us on the field. What does he bring to us as a coach?
Look, he's not really coaching, so his role is sporting director.
Yep.
No, it's not saying he's not out on the pitch, because he is. Why would you not have Matty Simon out on the pitch talking to the strikers and doing stuff when he can? But look, his main role, is what he really enjoys doing is that sporting director role. It's dealing with noise but sometimes I'm too busy with agents, with players.
Yep.
He's whatever anyone thinks about Matty Simon, is a very, very intelligent person. And he knows football, he's astute, he understands me. We've been friends for many, many years.
Absolutely.
So for me to be able to bring him on my staff, was amazing, because I know the transition, and he went through a real tough time with the injury and wanting to play, and in the end he just couldn't do it. I'd have loved to have Matty Simon in my team, but the next best thing is to have him in my staff team and being a part of the club. So the boys love him. He's there as someone else, as long as myself and Sergio and the other staff that the players can talk to. And yeah, me and Matty are really close. I speak to him every day, and yeah, it's a great role for him. And I think the likes of him, people like him, one day will change some of the stuff in Australian football that has been ridiculous for many years.
Absolutely.
Because these people like him, and who have played the game, that love the A-League, love their club, and can be a big voice that people listen to. So yeah, he's going to have a massive future ahead of him.
Absolutely. And I know, just quickly, I know speaking to him just after his retirement, I mean, that was a very tough time for him. He hasn't been up to you this week saying, look, the next feeling not too bad, boss. You can put me on the bench if you want.
Well, yeah, me and Matty want to both play, so unfortunately that's not going to happen because everyone knows I missed the final. The only
Absolutely.
red card in my career, in the last minute of the semi. So yeah, it keeps getting brought up.
Absolutely.
Tim was obviously, we would have loved to have played, but he loves being around the boys. He loves being part of the match day, and again, I give him roles to do, and
Yeah.
I trust him implicitly in everything that he does, and everything that he speaks to the players. He's always backing up what I say and Sergio says as well. So, no, he's fantastic, and he's just so talented in many different things. And yeah, the club needs Matty. He knows the culture, and yeah, he long may he be at the club, because there's no doubt someone like him can always make sure that the values that we've implemented this year and the culture stays, because when that's been lost, the club has failed and miserably. And sometimes people have come in and not understood the coast and the club, and want the club to be Sydney FC, but it's never going to be Sydney FC. It's never going to have the budget and all the resources. But what it has is a big heart, and Matty's got a big heart, so like myself, so he's in good hands.
Absolutely, very very similar in those particular ways. Mate, just as the season progressed, because of talking with others, the fans of different clubs, and we were trying to pinpoint how the season was travelling for us, and I can't get out of my head the game against Melbourne Victory, 19th of March, we went down 2-0. Was that something that you thought might have been a turnaround? Was it a kick we needed? Because after that, we seemed to really turn a corner, and we've been flying ever since.
Well, this is a conversation that I have with many people. I think expectation versus reality is something fans completely forget.
Absolutely.
We sold 5 players last year, our best players. Kai Rolls, Birighitti, Lewis Miller, Grant Quall, to name a few. Marcus Urena left.
Yeah.
That's just to name 4 or 5.
Yep.
And we had a good season last year. Got to the cup final, first time in the club's history, youngest team ever, most academy developed players in the whole of Asia.
Yeah.
And then we missed out in the finals. I thought we were the better team. We lost in Adelaide.
Yep.
Ridiculous decision by the referee to not let us make a sub, and we copped that second goal.
Yep.
Then we were chasing the game. So, amazing season last year. And yeah, all of a sudden, I think every fan thinks that we should be Real Madrid. Absolutely. And win every game. But the reality is, we have the smallest budget, the youngest team, and I've been at a club like Sheffield United where we got promoted to the Premier League and cup finals, and the next year that that doesn't happen. It's everybody's disappointed. So that's the expectation that I have to manage. And again, youngest team, lowest budget, new players coming in, squad revamped the squad in January. But talk about that victory game. We lost a lot of players in that period. We had Nectar trying to go to a youth national tournament, which wouldn't happen anywhere else in the world. Exactly. And I said that at the time. I still in disbelief how you can take a kid from playing first team football to a youth tournament.
Absolutely.
And Brian Carlsack got red cards that were yellow cards, and we had a couple of suspensions, injuries. Yeah. So what we don't have is a really big squad. Yep. If anyone watched that victory game, that was Melbourne Victory, the biggest team in the competition with the biggest budget, sitting 10 men behind the ball and waiting for us to make a mistake. And we made a mistake on that day. We copped a goal, and then then football is not easy to always win the game, but I think we had 70% possession, more shots on goals. So if you actually look at it, but the fans only see the result. We lost 2-0 to Melbourne Victory, and if we went back 3 or 4 years and we lost 2-0 away to Melbourne Victory, that would be classed as a success. So that's my little rant, but that's the truth. And win, lose or draw, if the boys give 100%, I'll never fault them. We made mistakes in that game, and if you make mistakes in football, they can be costly. You can lose games, and if you don't score the other end, so yeah, the boys are human. They're not robots. And it's all about making sure the next game we're ready and we go again. And I think they run 7 out of 8, the last 7 out of 8 wins and 1 draw against Melbourne City. People are now talking about us, and we deserve to finish second, and we deserve to be in the grand final. And yeah, you can always look back on the season, good ups and downs, and unless you're Man City or Real Madrid, where you don't have many downs, we can't expect to be perfect.
Absolutely. Well, I'm a Tottenham fan, mate, so I can totally relate to all that going on. So it's definitely one of those cases too, man. It's definitely that too. And about the squad too, because I know that there's always a lot of focus on the young blokes, and rightly too. But one bloke I think just has really stepped up, Danny Vukovic. I mean, he is a natural leader. I was there the day that Matty gave him the armband there at Tuggerah. As much as we're a young group, he's just been vital for this effort, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. I brought Vucker back from Holland. He wasn't happy. He was down. He'd had a tough time in Holland. They didn't treat him great. He was training, not training. He needed a revamp, and I spoke to him, and I'd known about Vucker. I didn't know him personally, but I spoke to people that knew him, and once I'd spoke to him and saw his character, but don't forget I brought him back. He got a little bit of stick. He started the season probably not the form that he wanted, but he had the pressure of the World Cup on his shoulders. He had a lot of media stuff, totally unfair about a guy that had retired in Langerak, with no disrespect, retired, and then all of a sudden we get to the World Cup and he's now wants to play in the World Cup, which is normal, but that shouldn't have been against Vucker, and it was.
Exactly.
And he's only human, and that did affect his confidence a little bit. But he deserved to go to the World Cup. So leading up to that, him and Jason, and to be honest, all the players that were going to the World Cup, no one wants to get injured and miss a World Cup. So there was a couple of games where, it wasn't, probably was a strange, because when have you ever had a World Cup in the middle of a season? It's never happened ever in the history of football. So, a lot of factors to factor in, but I think once he came back from the World Cup and freshened up, he's been absolutely phenomenal, and he's now level on clean sheets, and no doubt he won more. He's going to get more than one more. He's going to be the all-time record holder, and he's a great leader, and he's a great guy, and he's a family man, and he knows a club like myself, and for him to lead the team out 18 years, whatever it is, after he was first at the club, it's an amazing story.
It's a great story, and it's you can just see how the boys relate to him too. He talks, they listen, and it's just fantastic. Mate, last Saturday night, 20,000 in the stadium. I know I think it was about the 20th minute. I've said it before, just to look at the crowd. I just had to switch off from the game for a bit. It was a long way from the 1,500, 2,000 that we've seen there at times. It was just different. I know that you were focused on the game and everything, but was there a moment there where you sort of looked around and went, yeah, this is it?
Yeah, I did, to be honest. I knew it was going to be a big crowd, and the crowd's been building, and I've been on the course for 10 years, so I know what it means to the club and the community. And I said it in my press conference, nobody wants to come watch a team that loses every week, and that's a responsibility that I take on my shoulders when I took the job. And people told me not to take it. It's got no budget, there's no money, blah blah blah, and I never believed that, because I knew the young players and the heart that the club's got. And I know there's players out there that for the opportunity they'll come, not for the money, to come and play for an amazing club that's got a rich history of not only being successful, but transferring players to top clubs all over the world. So I was in no doubt that I could help the club compete with everybody in the league. And people now have to understand that there's a lot more money spent now in budget for the clubs than there was 10 years ago. I think we were probably one of the up there in the top 5 spenders the year we won the competition, and the marquee player was Del Piero, 38 years old, and one of the best players in the world, but way past his prime. And now it's 2 visa players outside the cap, product players, young players. The budgets are way more than they were then, and we're spending way less than we did 10 years ago. So that's a fact, and people obviously don't understand that. Some do, some don't. But that makes it even more amazing achievement from the club.
Absolutely. And finally, mate, so we got days coming up, grand final. The boys, all from what I've seen, smile on their faces, looking forward to it. Just seem relatively relaxed. Has that been the case?
Yeah, the boys are relaxed. We deserve to be there, and the boys are always relaxed, and we try to just keep every week the same. The semis were the same. Nothing changes. It's a game of football, and all the pressure's on Melbourne City. They're the big team with the big budget and the superstars, and we're the Mariners who, everybody wrote off at the start of the year. So we're going to go there, but we're not going to enjoy it. We're going there to win the game, and hopefully we can enjoy it after. Either way, whatever happens, and celebrate what's been a great season. And of course, if we can finish it off, bringing that toilet seat back to Gosford, then that would be the ultimate icing on the cake. So it's boys are relaxed. We'll train hard the next 2 weeks, and come grand final, we'll be ready to go.
Absolutely. Well, mate, on behalf of all fans, supporters, members who've been on this journey, we wish you absolutely all the best. Can't wait to get there. Seats are selling quite quickly from what I'm hearing. So we'll have a great following down there, mate. So we'll see you there, and all the best, hey?
Well, I just, the last thing I want to say is hopefully every fan can get some yellow merchandise and fill that stadium, because I think, you know, if we can take the same amount down that came in the stadium the other night and they can bring some friends, maybe we can get 25. Melbourne City can fill the rest, and it'll be a great atmosphere. So hopefully you guys can all come and support and give us that last push.
I reckon you'll see a fair few, mate.
All right, mate. Thank you.
Catch up with you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Take care.
Bye, mate. And that brings us to the end of the first of 2 grand final special episodes. Hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed having a chat to the guys. It's always great fun. Don't forget, we have a second episode coming out on Tuesday night, which is also chock full of some Mariners favourites that are looking forward to talking about, again, the season and the grand final this weekend. Massive thank you. Nick Montgomery, Harry Steele, Gabby Bowles, Carly Carmichael, and Rachie Hart. Thank you so much for your time. It is greatly appreciated. And thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed, there is a little subscribe button down there in the corner. I would love to see you come join our family. We've just cracked 100 subscribers. How cool is that? Hopefully we can head towards 150. That would be a lovely next target for a little old channel here on the Central Coast. Thanks so much for watching. Looking forward to bringing the next one to you on Tuesday night. It's going to be a massive grand final week. Go the Mariners. It's been the MartyMariner Show.